Hello crafty friends, it's Vicki Boutin here, and I want to talk to you about my new release, Wildflower and Honey. I say it all the time, but I super love this release. It's a little different than anything we've done before. Still has beautiful patterns and rich colors, but this is like rich colors. The pigment value is beautiful in this paper. It's deep, lots of texture in the backgrounds of the papers. Everyone is loving this one because, you know, I love color, but this whole color family is different than what we've done before. So the inspiration here was like things I love, flowers, a little bit of butterflies in there. I love to sneak those in. Patterns that you can still add watercolor to or customize. Great cut apart pieces in this release. I love it. Like I'm looking at it going, oh, I can't wait to all the things that I'm going to make with this. So, you know, because I am a paper crafter and I want to make this into cards. I want to make this into layouts. I'm going to put it in my junk journal. I'm going to put it into a traveler's notebook. But I love that this will transition beautifully. You still could use it with it coming out in the summer. You still could use this for fall. You could use it with die cutting leaves and for fall leaves if where you live you do get the change of the seasons. And if not, if you're in a hotter climate, you still will have beautiful patterns and colors to use in your projects. So I'm loving, you have papers, you have stickers, you have thickers, lots of ephemera pieces. So beautiful pieces with the Wildflower and Honey for whatever your crafting needs are. And guess what I want to do? I want to create a layout with it. So start to finish where we marry my two favorite things, paper crafting and art for everyone in mixed media. So let's make a layout where I can show you, if you're new to the mixed media, how easy it can be to just add a couple of artful techniques onto a background and then show you how I layer embellishments and add some photos. So let's get started. So I had like very little time when I started to create this project because this line for me just released a little bit like a couple weeks ago, and I traveled. I'm here in Utah filming these videos in the American Crafts headquarters. So I threw this layout together last night. So that's how easy it can be. So I started with the base with foundations because you know it's our thing. I love that this paper will hold lots of moisture. So this background is a watercolor background on this layout, so I needed something that I could put lots of water on and it's not going to buckle. So the base of this layout was foundations, and then I use some different ephemera. We always come out with 2 ephemera packs because I always say 50 pieces isn't enough. I need 100. So we have one that's an icon pack and one that's frames and labels and some titles, and I use that. And just instead of using the 12 by 12, I found that the 6 by 8 pad and the smaller pattern I really liked, but very little pattern paper on this one. Really, the center stage is the background I'm going to show you how I made, and then just some ephemera and thickers, titles, and some pretty photos of my daughter who's growing up. Look at how big she is. It's killing me. So let's make this background. Let's start with that. So I'm going to move this off to the side. Like I said, grab a page of the foundations paper. What else you will need, the other things you'll need with this, a paintbrush, some art crayons, and something to apply your background with. So I just have a sheet of plastic, anything like that. Anything that's non-porous that you could transfer, like put your wet medium on and transfer. Because I call this the kissing technique, but we're going to do kissing technique with a twist. One of the things when you're looking at doing mixed media that I find makes it a little easier is break it down into something that's simple, like shapes. So here I'm going to do stripes. Stripes are easy. So when I'm trying to figure out where the medium's going to be, just by adding something simple that is stripes and it's going to be a masking technique, it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to put some washi tape down as the mask, or you could use painter's tape if you don't want to waste your beautiful washi. This is the new washi that came out with the Wildflower and Honey release, and I love it. Look at that one. That's one we're going to use because I like the width of it, but aren't they beautiful? So I love that. You can never go wrong with washi. It's the one thing I never have enough of. So I am going to go to create the pattern, is just put some strips of washi down. So go ahead and peel, or if you had, like I said, painter's tape would be fine too. And just go and start to create a little bit of a pattern. The torn edges kind of look really cool on here, so it's okay if it slices down the side. And you really could take this off and reuse it if you wanted to, right? Just put it on another project. So that's your base. This is where we're going to put the background on, and then let's get into the mixed media side of it. So if you don't have art crayons, but you have anything that will make watercolor, inks, anything that's water soluble, go for it. I just want you to try the techniques. So if you don't have art crayons yet, that's okay. You still can make this. But when I show you what we do with them, it's something that will encourage you, because these are great. This is a great mixed media tool. I made the color because the base of the blue in this release of Wildflower and Honey is more like a navy. So I just made a color, and there's the fun thing when you are using the art crayons, that you can customize your own color. So I want to have a dark blue, so I went in with the dark blue out of the neutral set, the black out of the neutral set. I mixed in a little bit of the blue out of the cool set. And let's start with that, and we'll see what we need to add to just get the right shade. So you don't have to press really hard with these. They're like an oil pastel that's water soluble. So let's just go on and just scribble some art crayon on, a little bit of black to deepen it up. And then let's put a little bit of that blue in here too. Let's mix it, and then this is how I start to create my own colors, is just see what you get. And if the color looks true to what you would like it to be, then you're all set to go. The other key with this kissing technique is make sure you have enough water. When I'm in class and teaching this one, if people are struggling with it, it's usually I walk around and say to them, more water. You need more water. There's not enough water. You want, when it is on here, that you should have movement. See how that watercolor moves around? That means when I go to kiss it to my surface, it will have movement, and it won't be like stamping a block of solid watercolor on there. So I'm almost happy with this. I'm going to add a little bit more of the blue just to brighten that up a little bit. And I think that's a really pretty color. So let's just go with it. Okay, so make sure you have lots of water, because you've got lots of page to cover. And it's flowing. We're good to go. Move your stuff out of the way. Bring your foundations paper with the masking on there. And then go in, and you know what I say. We're just doing a kissing technique, gently, like it's your frail grandma. So you just lightly kiss grandma. You're happy to see her. And I'm going to say it, but not like Brad Pitt or The Rock. Just get in there and give it a little kiss. And then just fill in around, because it's a masking technique, right? You want to fill in some of those areas. Look how easy this is. This is not hard. Biggest thing is make sure there's enough water, and that you are moving your material around. I love this technique. Super fun, super easy. I'm going to go in with a little bit of heat. Don't bake the paper. All I'm doing is so I don't have big pools of wet paint. Make sure that you just dry to not soaking wet, but you're not drying it to totally dry, because that's when you will start getting buckling of the paper. So all I want to do is take some of that moisture out, and then I'll show you the little tip that I use at the end here. And one of those things, like, look at it and go, like, do I feel? Let's get a paper towel. That's my tip. For any pools of wet, just do this. So I'm not rubbing, I put it down and just soak up. Because if you drag this across, you could end up smushing a big line of paint across, and we don't want that. So just get in there. Paper towels are your friend too. Love them. And I feel like I need to just fill in this space a little bit more. And it's okay if it's not exactly the same color, because it's like another layer of interest. So just, I'm going to put my 3 on here, and I'm okay with this blue is not exactly the same. And it isn't, and I think it's actually going to add some interest, having a second color on here. Watercolor's moving, so it means it's ready for the kissing technique. And I'm just going to fill this top bit a bit, a little bit. There we go. Okay. Another little blast with a heat gun. And then when it's dry, we're ready to create our background on this mixed media page. So once you have the pattern that you like on the background, all you're going to do is then go in and remove your washi. And you could reuse this. So if you don't want to throw it away, just stick it aside and then you could put it on another project. It might not have full tackiness, so this might be something that I'll use maybe with my matte mixed media gel, and then I can just seal it on top. And I'm okay that it's not the perfect masking because I find it adds to the charm. If you wanted it to not bleed under, just make sure you burnish a bit, but you have to be careful with the tape that you use that it's not tearing the background. This is a super simple mixed media background. Just a little bit of masking, the stripes add interest, it's not totally overpowering, it's nice and subtle. And now here's the biggest thing. So when a big question I get a lot, because I do a lot of these in my Facebook Lives and the videos that I do teaching you how to do the mixed media, but I might not then turn it into a project. So here's the key. The question is always then, okay, I love these backgrounds, but then I'm stuck. How do I then build a layout? Here's the key. Look at it like you would a sheet of pattern paper. Just because you created it yourself, it's the same idea. But the other thing is it's art. You made art. So when I go to do my design, I don't put a lot on here because I want that first step to shine through. So if you cover it with too many photos or too much embellishment, you don't see all the pretty background. So the key here, when I did this design, is I built it off the side, so it still is, it's like a 50-50 partnership, right? I still have the beautiful mixed media, but then I have all my lovely embellishments and photos. And I find it pops, nothing's competing on here, it all works really well. Key here is going to be foam squares. You want to play with light and dark. I'm not an ink edger. I don't ink edges, but what I like to do is pop things up so I have light and shadow that's doing all of that on its own. So I don't have the photos here to add, but I'm going to build the kind of the base of the layout. So what I did with this, remember I said I used out of the 6x8 pad because I like the scale of the patterns are smaller in here. I just picked this one. The B-sides in this line are stunning. I love rusty eye patterns so they don't compete with the hero patterns like the big lemons or the flowers or the butterflies. So having great patterns that are just subtle are awesome for layering. So it's key. So it's the other side of this, don't cry, there's two in the set. So even though we're gonna cut this to use the back of it, that's what I used as this little photo mat. So I'm just going to cut a piece that's smaller. These photos are 3x4, and I'm just going to cut one that is a little bit smaller. So I grab my paper trimmer and I'm going to trim this down. And because I don't have the photos, because I'm a weird scrapbooker, paper crafter, I often will make the layout and I don't even know what photos I'm going to use yet. I know it's like backwards to a lot of the way a lot of people paper craft. So I like to cut little mats that are the sizes that I want to use. So 3x4s, 4x6, 4x4, 2x3s, and have a whole stack of those. So it will help me with placement. And then when I print my photos, I can just pop them on there. So this is what I'm going to use for photo placement for layering the embellishments. So I know that I want a mat that's a little bit smaller than the mat that I have or the photo I have on the page. So I'm just going to take this and I use my handy dandy marking tool, my fingernail, and I'm going to cut a 4 by, so it might be close to the same size. Let's figure out, what do I have here? It's kind of a square. It is, it's a little bit bigger. I totally lied to you. Looked you right in the face and lied. It is a 4 by 3 3/4. So just a little piece that I can kind of put on an angle in the background. So just get rid of my paper trimmer. Is that how you scrapbook at home? You run out of table space, you just start throwing stuff on the floor. So we have the photos that I'm going to put. I have one that's going horizontally and I have one that's vertical. So I'm just going to kind of position them there, and because every background is going to be different, you might need to like fiddle with it a little bit to figure out where you want placement. And when I start to build the layout, I don't commit with adhesive. I just kind of start filling in where I want my bits to go, and then I will commit with glue. So to start, I have the 2 ephemera packs, and I selected something I wanted to use. In this case, the photos in this picture, the brick wall has all that orange in there, and then Devin has camel colored pants on. So I just went with the greens and the oranges, and I find it contrasts beautifully. You see there's no navy anywhere in this, but the navy is a beautiful contrast and makes those colors pop. So I chose the embellishments, and then I just start to kind of place where I want things to go, and then we will commit with some adhesive. Lots and lots of foam squares. So we have this guy going up here. This is going to go on the photo. And this worked well because she's kind of on an angle. So that, I love this. Look at the giant paper clip, right? It's just going to go up there, and then we'll put the title and such later. And we have this guy here. Anytime you have leaves or little items like this, I like to take it and just kind of with my thumb and forefinger curl the edges, because then it makes it pop a little bit. And then I will not foam square everything, because then I find my layouts get a little bit too bulky if I put foam adhesive everywhere. So I'll just pick certain areas that I'm going to pop up. And I found that this looked kind of cute. I cut the leaves on my layout so that part of it would pop up. And then just kind of put that guy in there and make some of it go up over and some under. And then look at it, it's already starting to come together, right? Super pretty. I love labels because it's like something that grounds, so things aren't just floating around in the layout. So by putting these little bits here, it's already starting to take shape. And it's a little bit of an asymmetrical design. And this little wildflower, a flower of uncultivated variety or a flower growing freely, I love the linear aspect that that adds with our horizontal stripes. So now to start building this, right, I'd start popping this up. So you want to just take certain sections, and I don't take the backs off. I start to decide where I want things to pop up, and then I will commit when I'm ready. Like I know it's good, it can be glued down. Like I know this guy's gonna stay here, right? So he can totally ground the layout. So let's just put one behind that flower. So you get the idea, right? You don't foam square everything, but just the corners of some things. So something like this, I would pop up, and I would pop up this corner. And then this guy here for sure. Put one back there, I'm gonna commit that. And then what I do, instead of just lifting everything up, what I do is I'll take my tape runner and then go in there and just kind of put my hand in the middle and start to commit. So I don't have to move everything in the design. The other thing you could do if like that's not your jam, take a picture of it with your cell phone so you know where the placement was for everything, and then you can remove it and then start building it from the image. That's the other thing I often will do, right? But it's all starting to take place. And the other thing, when you start to add your thickers, so I have a sticker sheet, which I love, because these are all, like I like to have my flat layers, and then I like to have my dimensional layers. So the thickers will work as a beautiful dimensional layer. And I took these, I'm not gonna do it right now, but I took my thicker and I cut foam squares and put it all behind so it can pop up on top of the layout and adds a little bit of dimension, right? So this could be this love, you could switch it around and have love this, which is, I think, one of my signature saying, right? I love this, it's my favorite. And then let's pick a sticker as well for down here. And the reason that I put that sticker is it's that rule of thirds. So I have the kind of peachy, salmony flowers here and here, and I found that I needed a little bit of that represented here. So I went in on the sticker sheet and I looked to find, you could put butterfly there if you want, but I love this arrow. And then it's, again, it's a directional element, so it's directing your eye back into the photo. So again, you could put a little bit of talcum powder on the back of these just to take the stick off because it is a sticker. But look, you just layer that guy on there. And then this one, I did pop some corners up. So what you can do with that is just, again, with your finger, just round the edges. So you don't even have to really foam square it. just putting that little bend in it will give you what you need. And then tack it down. And the only other thing that this one needs is photos. And I tied the gold in again with the rule of thirds, right? Your eye will go in a circle if you put those elements that will tie into the rest of the photo. So that's why I fill all my thicker sheets. Every little space that I can fill with something, we will put in the thickers, because what these act like, instead of having a whole enamel dot pack, you have built-in enamel dots and little elements that you can use in this open spaces of the thickers. So I love that. So I just need to find the heart on the sticker sheet, and there it is. This guy goes down here in this corner. And then a couple little hearts here, and we're all done. Look how fast that was, right? Super easy. You can make this. So if you have been sitting on the fence when it comes to doing mixed media, or I know that term can be scary, so you know what I say, artful techniques. It's art for everyone. Look how easy this is. You could finish this in like a half hour. So I love this, super easy. And if you have a boy and not a girl, you could just pick other elements, circles instead of flowers, and do this whole same look, because the color isn't super girly. And here's the other thing, boys like flowers too. So it's okay to put a photo of a boy on a layout with flowers. But I love this Wildflower and Honey release. I love the richness and the texture of all of these patterns. And I can't wait to see what you're going to make with it, because you guys are great about posting and sharing and linking. Vicki Boutin, hashtag Vicki Boutin, and I'll find it so I can see what you're making with it. But I hope you are super excited with Wildflower and Honey, and I can't wait to see what you guys are making by marrying the magical world of mixed media or artful techniques with the beautiful world of paper crafting. So let me see what you're making, and I can't wait to come and copy all your ideas and make them too.